Lake Hemet is in the San Bernadino National Forest in Riverside County, California. The elevation is 4,300 feet and nestled in the San Jacinto Mountains. The lake and surrounding Garner Valley area is rich in history and outdoor activities and is a very peaceful and serene environment. But don't let your guard down in this wonderful wilderness. Here a hero died trying to save a drowning guest in 1912.
To think about it was like a movie.
It's a very unique community. The last place you'd expect.
The Carnegie Medal, now known as the Carnegie Hero Fund, was established in 1904 by millionaire philanthropist Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie was inspired by two heroic men, Selwyn M. Taylor and Daniel A. Lyle, who lost their lives trying to rescue men during the Harwick Mine disaster on January 25, 1904. The purpose of the Carnegie Medal was to recognize civilians who put themselves in harm's way to help their fellow man, assist those people who were disabled by heroic acts, and provide for the dependents of those who died trying to save others. Just 8 years later, a woman and her 2 children, who lived in the San Jacinto Mountains, benefited from the Carnegie generosity after her husband's tragic death. Anita McGee and Percy Walker married April 1906. They settled in the sage area where they farmed. Over the next few years, they had 2 daughters, Alice and Louise. In 1911, they sold the farm and bought King Camp, a rustic resort in the Strawberry Valley area of the San Jacinto Mountains. As the Carnegie Hero Fund commission describes the tragic event, Percy Walker, 45, hotel proprietor, died attempting to save Abram B. Hendrickson, 31, automobile agent, from drowning. King Camp, California, February 29, 1912. Hendrickson was in a canoe on Lake Hemet, 500 feet from the bank when the canoe upset. He fell into the deep, ice-cold water. Walker, who suffered from heart trouble, undressed and swam towards Hendrickson, towing a log. But when he was 40 feet from Hendrickson, the canoe sank. Walker swam to where the canoe sank and tried to locate Hendrickson, but was unable to do so. He clung to the log and called to men on the bank for assistance. He was benumbed. Because of its temperature, none dared enter the water. Walker had drifted an hour when his head fell back and he died as a result of exposure. His body was taken to the bank within a short time, and Hendrickson's body was recovered 8 days later. It was reported that the death of the guest was the first drowning in Lake Hemet. In November of that year, local newspapers reported that because of Percy Walker's bravery, his widow, Anita, would receive an award from the Carnegie Medal Fund. She was granted $50 a month for the rest of her life and $5 a month for each of her 2 little daughters. McGee continued to run King Camp, later renaming it Tockwitz Lodge. She remarried several years later to Robert E. Elliott. King Camp was sold in 1924, but McGee and her new husband continued in the hotel business. Unfortunately, she died in November 1928 when she was just 55. Two permanent residents of Lake Hemet were counted in the 2016-17 census. The local pair of bald eagles, whose permanent nest is at Lake Hemet. The 2 Lake Hemet eagles are resting in a pine near the lake. The Lake Hemet eagles were spotted nesting about 9 years ago, a first on mainland Southern California in decades. Lake Hemet is an ideal place for the eagles to reside. They nest on a side of the lake that is closed to the public. The lake has a steady supply of fish that they hunt. Bird lovers can easily watch them from boats on the water and the Lake Hemet campground on the opposite side of the lake. Recently, there was the construction of a replacement platform in a tree to support the eagle's nest. Bald eagles are usually found close to water because their diet is primarily made up of fish and ducks. Bald eagles acquire the full white head and tail in their 5th year. Bald eagles do winter in Southern California, but more typically migrate far north to raise their young. The lake and surrounding area has been used for many movie and TV shows. 2 Bonanza episodes were filmed at the lake in 1959. In 1959, the first season, episode 11 titled The Truckee Strip, guest star James Coburn, was filmed in September of that year. The cast did the first write-up shots on horseback for the opening credits on the show. Today that part of the lakeshore is a campground. You can see Thomas Mountain behind Ben. The jetty of land with trees behind them is the southeast corner of the lake. It was a drought year. The 1959 season, episode 30 titled Feet of Clay, guest starred young David Ladd. Lake Hemet Campground is owned by the Lake Hemet Municipal Water District, located off the Pines to Palms Highway, SR 71. The lake itself is used as an agricultural water storage reservoir. There are approximately 300 full hookup campsites, 400 dry sites, and 3 group areas, including an equestrian area. Campsites 469 or 470 are right there on the lake. In December 2014, the landmark Lake Hemet Market was closed until it reopened under California Parks Management. The popular store where mountain travelers, neighbors, and Lake Hemet campers chatted while buying Forest Service adventure passes, camping supplies, bait, sodas, groceries, beef jerky, and renowned hot pastrami sandwiches. It served as the information center for the big 2013 mountain fire that burned the San Jacinto Mountains that loomed above the store. California Parks re-roofed the store, improved the bathrooms, and added a deck where customers can dine at tables. California Parks will study the feasibility of adding gas pumps. There are no gas stations available on the mountain highway between Palm Desert and the San Jacinto Valley, a distance of about 50 miles. The store may be similar, but no longer will have an owner behind the cash register ready to chat. The Lake Hemet Market was built in the early 1960s and run by rancher Ed Keyes for a few years. During its early years, ranchers told tales on cold winter days around a potbelly stove. It was a busy place in the summer when the campground filled with visitors. Celebrities such as Steve McQueen, Telly Savalas, Timothy Leary, Dean Martin, Sharon Tate, Danny DeVito, and Red Skelton stopped by.